Okay, welcome to Practical Theory. In session one, we talked about the names of all of the notes and where they can be found on the keyboard. So you can see this is the keyboard. And as you can see, to the left of every group of two black keys is a C, okay? And then to the left of every three black keys is the F, okay? So we talked about half steps and whole steps. A half step would be the shortest distance or the smallest distance. So for example, from C to C sharp, from D to D sharp, from D sharp to E, okay. From E to F would be a half step. F to G flat is a half step. G flat to, or F sharp to G, that would be a half step, half step, half step, half step, half step, half step. And that's the way that goes, okay? So now whole steps is when you go two half steps. So I want to show you that. So C, 1, 2, that's a D, so that would be a whole step. D, that would be a whole step, okay? Now, whole step from D flat would be, okay, so you go one half step, two half steps, and that's the E flat would be a whole step away. Whole step from E is 1, 2, okay, F sharp. All right, and then, for example, from G flat would be A flat, that would be a whole step. From G, it would be A, right? Because 1, 2 half steps. 1, 2. Okay. And that's what whole steps look like. Okay, whole steps are just two half steps. Now, a major scale is built from going a whole step from 1 to 2, then another whole step from 2 to 3, then from 3 to 4, it's a half step. So whole, half. Okay, 4 to 5 is a whole step, 5 to 6 is a whole step, 6 to 7 is a whole step. And then you get 7 to 1. You go back to 1, that is also a half step. 7 to 1 is a half step. So half steps between 3 and 4 and between 7 and 1. All right. Now, everything else is a whole step. All right. Now, so building a major scale, one of the most important things that we talked about was how the alphabets always are sequential. So you would never go from like a C to a C sharp. It's going to have to be a D flat because it's the next alphabet. You're always going to the next alphabet, okay? The next alphabet. You would never repeat an alphabet, but you also would never skip an alphabet. So you wouldn't go from, like, let's say E to G flat because the next note has to be some kind of F. It's always sequential. It's always sequential. So based on that and our pattern of whole, half, whole, half, we can spell all major scales. And that's what we're going to do today. All right. So here we go. Let's see if I can get this right. All right. Actually, let's go to the lower one. So we'll go C major first. All right. There's the C, whole step to D, whole step to E. Okay, so whole step from 1 to 2, and then from 2 to 3 is also a whole step. Now you go a half step. That puts you on the F. Then whole step to G, whole step to A, whole step to B, and then that's the 7th. So then a half step to C. Okay, that's the 1 again. So 7 to 1 is always a half step. So 3 to 4 is a half step. 7 to 1 is always a half step. Now, it just so happens to work out in the key of C that it's all white keys. So it kind of makes it nice. Now, C sharp is a little more pesky. D flat, whole step, you go 1, 2 half steps. Okay, and that puts you on E flat. So D flat, E flat. then a whole step from E flat, 1, 2 half steps, right? So that puts you on F. So D flat, E flat, F. Now, so that was whole step. Now you go half step. That's G flat. All right, whole step would put you at A flat, and a whole step, A flat, or B flat. And then C is the 7, because you got to go whole step from B flat. Okay, and that's the 7th degree. So now you go a half step back to the 1. Okay. Now you can also call that C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C sharp. Now, why am I calling the F an E sharp? Well, because alphabetically, right? C sharp, D sharp. Then we gotta, the next one has to be some kind of E. Well, it's 1 half step above E, so we can call it E sharp, because that's what a sharp does. It raises things by a half step. Same thing up here, G sharp, or F sharp, G sharp, A sharp. And then you have to go to this note that looks like a C, but yet alphabetically we just did A sharp, so it has to be some kind of B. It's to the right of B by 1 half step, so therefore it is called B sharp, and then C sharp. So notice that there's 2 names for that scale. There's the D flat, and you can also call it by its sharp name, which is C sharp. All right, now on to D. D, whole step to E, whole step to F sharp, then you go a half step to the G, whole step to A, whole step to B, then C sharp is the 7th, and then half step to 1. Okay, now E flat. E flat is 1, and then we need to go a whole step. That puts it on F, then a whole step to G. Now we're on the 3rd, so you have to go half step to 4, whole step to the B flat, and whole step to C, whole step to D, and then that's the 7th, and that puts you back at the E flat for finishing out the E flat major scale. Now we're going to do the E major scale. So you start with E, and you must go a whole step. So that's 2 half steps. That'll put you on F sharp. A whole step, that'll put you on G sharp. Then A is a half step away. B is a whole step on the C sharp, whole step on the D sharp. And then you finish it out on the E with a half step. Okay, F major is starting on F, and then you go a whole step to G. Then A is a whole step. Okay, so whole step, then half step to the B flat. Okay, that's where we need the B flat there to create the half step. Then you go whole step to C, whole step to D, whole step to E, half step to F. And that's the F major scale. All right, now we go to G flat. G flat, whole step to A flat, whole step to B flat. Okay, that's the 3rd of the scale, 1, 2, 3. So then we go half step to C flat. Notice we're calling that C flat because that was a B flat, and you've got to keep that alphabet, okay? B flat, the next thing has to be some kind of C. It's to the left of C, therefore you can call it a B flat, or C flat. All right, now we go from C flat up a whole step to D flat, E flat, and a whole step to F, and then to the G flat. Now the other name for the scale is F sharp, and that would go like this: F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B is the 4th because of the half step there, C sharp, D sharp, and then you have to call this note E sharp because again this was a D sharp, and this is to the right of the E, so you can call it an E sharp, and then you finish it off with the F sharp. So that's the other name for that scale. All right, G is pretty easy. G, whole step to A, whole step to B. Now we got to get our half step in. That puts us on C. Then D is a whole step, E is a whole step, F sharp is a whole step from E. And then back to the G for that half step ending. All right, A flat is next. So we go A flat, whole step to B flat, whole step to C, then a half step to D flat, because 3 to 4 is a half step, and then D flat to E flat is a whole step, to F is a whole step, to G is a whole step, and then finish it out with that A flat root. That gives you that half step from 7 to 1. All right, now A, whole step to B, whole step to C sharp, half step to D, E is a whole step to F sharp, whole step to G sharp, and then that puts us at back to A, which is the half step between 7 and 1. Okay, B flat. So B flat is 1, whole step to C, whole step to D, that's the third, so we go half step to E flat, whole step to the F, that's the 5, 6 is G, that's a whole step to A, that's 7, and then back to 1, that's a half step. All right, now B major. So B is 1, 2 is C sharp, because you got to go whole step to D sharp, then a half step to E, right? That's a half step. That's the 4, so 5 is a whole step away, that's F sharp. Then G sharp is 6, A sharp is 7, and back to B. Now there is another name for the scale, and that's called C flat. So if you start at B, we'll call it a C flat, okay? D flat is a whole step, E flat's a whole step, F flat, okay? And again, that's that alphabet thing, we're on E flat, so we have to go to some kind of F. It's to the left of F, so we call it an F flat. Okay, that's the 4th. 5 is G flat, 6 is A flat, and then 7 is B flat, and then back to C flat. So that's the C flat scale. So that's all 15 keys. And it's really important to work on saying them and then playing them. There is a table that will show you the fingerings for the major scales. I want you to get on the piano, practice your major scales, practice saying the scales and spelling them in your head, visualizing the keyboard. So like, for example, D major, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp. We memorized 3 in class, C, C sharp, and D flat. So C sharp is just all sharps, C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, and then D flat is D flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C. And you just got to get used to saying it, okay? Write them out, all of them on staff paper, just like in the book. And then also write them out with just the letter names, okay? And then get on the keyboard. And it doesn't matter about fingering so much, although some of you probably want to learn the correct fingerings because it'll flow a little easier. But it's really just about visualizing, okay? And also hearing. Be aware of what numbers you're on. And so when you write out the scales, it's nice if you'll write out the number under each note, because I want you to see where 3 to 4, where that half step is, and I want you to see 7 to 1, where that half step is. I really want you to be able to visualize that and be aware of what number you're on, okay? If you know you're on 3, it's always going to be a half step to 4. Everything else is whole steps except for 7 to 1. But 1 is just a repeat note, so 3 to 4 is a really important moment. All right, that's all. Practice scales, practice scales, practice scales, and it'll make everything else easier. Thanks.